All right, folks, I hope you're ready to get your feet wet. We're joined by Steve Kiner from Hill Country Water Gardens and Nursery. Steve, welcome back to Central Texas Gardener.
Hey, thank you, Tom. So great to be back.
It's always fun to visit with you, and today our topic is bogs. What the heck is a bog?
You know, bog, they're also known as marginal plants. They're going to be plants that are going to, if found in nature, are going to grow right at the pond's edge, right where the water meets the dirt, and it's always a little wet.
Okay, so for folks creating bogs at home, you don't actually have to have a full-blown pond, do you?
Not at all. You know, anything to where you could keep the soil of the pot wet and damp at all times, you could grow a bog plant.
So you could create, for example, if you had a small pond, you could create like an island using brick or whatever and put a bog container right there.
Yeah, we sell so many varieties of bog plants at the store, and the thing that I always tell my customers is you want to raise them up and just put maybe an inch of water over the top of the pot, and they're going to be okay there. They're actually going to be happier just toes wet than they are going to be submerged, but a lot of people don't want to look at that black pot, so we think of other ways to do
Sure,
it.
if they're in plastic, I can understand that, but you could also put them in beautiful clay, and you've brought some examples of groupings of bog plants in containers. The first one has a canna lily, papyrus, and all sorts of different things.
I love when, you know, I like to put arrangements together, and Emily and I were putting these together yesterday, and I like the red of the Australian canna. I like the variegation and the variegated cattail.
Right.
And then the dwarf giant papyrus. It really pops. I like the pom-pom head. It doesn't get much taller than that.
Which is great size for small plant, or again, if it's fitting in along the edge of a pond, it's perfect for that kind of setting.
Yeah,
too.
I would take one this size and I would put it in a larger pond or small. And the cool thing is that I would only put it in about 3 or 4 inches and then let the rest of the pot be exposed.
Yeah,
and the plant's going to be very happy.
Looks like a fountain of plants in the middle of the pond.
Right.
You know, and you had some wonderful plants that are hanging down too, as well as a purple one I don't think I've ever seen.
Ruby runner, I don't know exactly what the scientific name is, and then we use a little creeping jenny,
right,
and some aquatic mint. Aquatic mint goes crazy in the pond. It absolutely loves to be, especially at that marginal where it's not too deep in the water.
Put a little of that in your mint julep?
Absolutely, you could. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, you brought another variety or a container with a really nice selection of plants. I love that bluish sedge there.
The blue sedge, blue rush,
Yeah.
one of my absolute favorite rushes. I love how vertical it is, and it's real rigid, and it stays pretty evergreen as well. And then with the equisetum next to it, that's always has great texture.
Yeah, and equisetum is a plant that in a pond setting or in a bog setting where it can't run.
Right, exactly.
It is like a perfect plant. And I've seen people just line, for example, a side of a pond, just a narrow planting this, and it's a dramatic effect.
It's spectacular, sure.
Yeah.
Very structured and really cool plant.
Yeah.
Along with that, we did a couple of colocaceas as well, the Imperial, and a new, that lime green one is Elena, I believe. And both are, what I like about them is that they're not runners like your typical green taro. So great to, not invasive.
Right, and a lot of people know these as the sweet potato vines.
Yeah, that's a fun plant, not commonly thought of as a bog plant, but they don't mind being toes wet, and they will just flow right out into the pond.
All right. Well, you also brought something that is just eye-catching right now. It's the Scabiola.
Yeah, I mean, again, not a common pond plant. I don't, people may argue with me, but I've tried it. I've put it in the same situation, just toes wet. It does not want to be submerged at all. It wouldn't do well. But toes wet, where it's always getting a little water, they really flourish.
Well, it almost looks like bluebonnet from a distance. It really confused me for a second. You also brought a Texas Star hibiscus.
Man, what a great plant. It's a mallow. Mallows love water. Really, any of the mallows are going to do pretty well in this setting. This one will actually, you could put a little deeper once it's established. I start them toes wet when we're growing them out, but once they establish, they really take off. You can put them a couple inches down in the water.
Well, hibiscus love the water.
Right.
And so, putting one in a bog seems like a perfectly reasonable idea. And the show of the blooms on these plants.
Yeah, they're quite a show here in the summertime when they take off.
Dinner plate size is what they say. And
I don't think the Texas Star, not in the water, they don't get quite as big as they probably would in the ground, but it's that real stellate bloom, so it's really cool.
Yeah, it's great. Of course, we can't forget about lilies, and you brought a compact variety of lilies.
I did. I brought a couple of lilies today. The bloomer I brought is Patio Joe. It's a kind of a cousin of Colorado, a very popular pond.
Right.
It's a real beautiful salmon.
Yeah.
It's a true medium. Its leaves only get maybe 3 inches or so, and its blooms about 3 inches. But a great bloomer, just like Colorado is.
Yeah, not fussy at all, and an early bloomer as well.
Early bloomer takes some shade. It keeps a few leaves up in the wintertime, which really makes it valuable.
Right, right. Next to that, we have another corkscrew plant, or a rush, right?
Yeah, it's another juncus. Yeah, it's corkscrew rush. I think it's just looking at it, it's just fun.
Yeah.
You can do it in an arrangement. You can do it by itself. I really love it when it fills out the pot and gets nice and tight.
Right.
And it'll throw up really cool corkscrews that way, and it looks really good.
You brought a new form, or new to me anyway, of Pennisetum or fountain grass, and this I love the broad.
Yeah,
leaf
this one. This is a fairly new cultivar. It's called First Night. The reason I brought it, definitely not something I would have put in a pond even a month ago, but Nathan, my nursery manager, said, "Hey, stick it in one of the bogs," and we did, and it's been in there now for 5 weeks, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
It's really soaking it up.
I love the fountain grasses, actually, and I think most of them do like to be in situations where at least periodically they're inundated. They get a
exactly.
good soaking like
Right now I'm curious to see how it does through the summer. If it's going to handle the heat and the water as well, but right now it's really thriving.
Okay, well, it sounds like a great new plant for us, and I love the color. Next to that is a form of Ruellia, and that people in the audience, before you run away and scream, this is a new form that's supposed to be sterile.
It is. It's out of Florida. It's called Purple Showers. It is. We're told that its seed is sterile. We've had it on the yard now for a couple of years in different settings, and I have not seen it pop up anywhere.
Okay. Well,
it actually has a really cool stem. It's a real purple stem with the bright green leaves, and it blooms. It's a beautiful bloomer, and it gets 3 or 4 feet tall.
Yeah, and just like the regular Mexican Ruellia, and the same color purple that you would find.
It is, but to me it's a little cleaner. Mexican Ruellia is a little fuzzy to it. I don't know, it's a little different. This one's a little tighter, a little greener.
Okay. You also brought Society garlic, and this really surprised me.
Yeah, again, something that would grow in a xeriscape setting, but also grow toes wet in a bog does very well.
Okay, and you have that beautiful bloom, and it blooms for such a long season.
Oh yeah, it blooms all summer long.
Yeah, so it's a great plant. You also, I just want to give people a closer individual look at one of these taros or sweet potato vines. And this is, again, a new cultivar too, right?
I'm not exactly sure. I mean, there's so many of them out there now. I don't know how new it is. But again, not a plant you would think would do well as a bog, but definitely doing it in a toes wet setting where it's just going to soak up a little water, it's going to do great.
I love all of these, frankly, because the way they can create a great ground cover in the garden.
Oh, sure.
And the colors are so eye-catching. I really think they're terrific.
Either the purple or the chartreuse, either one is going to really pop.
And finally, and real briefly, we have a miniature water lily here that will stay very compact.
Yeah, that is Indiana. It's a true small, it would be considered a miniature. Maybe 2-inch leaves and about a 2-inch bloom. It's a changeable. It blooms first day as an apricot, and then as it progresses through its second and third day, it kind of goes orange to red. So really pretty. Each day it opens a little different. It's very interesting lily.
Well, keep your attention as you're enjoying that evening drink beside the pond, or drinking the morning Joe as you stroll around and see what's opening up. All right. Well, Steve, thanks as always for coming on the program. Hill Country Water Gardens Nursery, great garden center. Congratulations to you and the great success you've had up there. And thanks again for being on Central Texas
Thanks for having me.
And coming up next is Daphne.